Welcome to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next. The Alumni Podcast, where you get to hear the inspiring stories and transformation that DVC has had to offer its alumni. And now, on with the episode. And we are live. So, Shane, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody?
Hello, how you doing? My name is Shane Farrell. I'm originally from Walnut Creek, California, Bay Area. Love the Bay. I lived there my whole life until I was about 19 and moved to LA, and now I'm residing in Miami. But we'll get into all that, during this podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure. Now, keep in mind, this is a family program, so I'm so sure some of those Miami stories can't be told. So, um, but yeah, start with so where in Walnut Creek did you grow up? Where'd you go to high school?
So I went to for elementary school, I went to Indian Valley Elementary School, and then for middle school, I went to WCI, and then for high school, I actually went to Clayton Valley.
Okay. Um, and so what made you choose Dazzle Valley College when you decided to go to college?
Because I've never really wanted to go to like a full 4-year college. I knew school wasn't my main thing. I was always like, in entertainment stuff and had a knack for just like meeting people and talking to people. So, I wanted to go to DVC just to get more so my fundamentals, my basics done, like my AA, just in case I wanted to go back. And so that's where I went to. It gave me a good, also like extra couple of years to really figure out and set up my plan for moving forward. So it was a good time to, still go to school and learn and use all the great resources there while also planning for the future.
So let's talk a little bit about the resources, and then I'd like to talk into like because one of the things I noticed in your LinkedIn, which by the way, for folks that don't know, this is how I found him, was that just I blundered across your LinkedIn. And I went, oh, this looks like it's going to be a good story. One of the things you talk about is building your network, and I think that that's such a critical skill that I think young folks don't do that soon enough and understand the power of it. So if you don't mind, why don't you go kind of walk through your time at DVC, and maybe I have a feeling you started probably building your network when you were still in high school. That's just my opinion. I could be completely off on that, but
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
turn it
So
over
I
to
mean,
you.
I was in a band like my whole life growing up, playing shows, traveling. So that's really where I started like meeting people and networking. And so I just kind of took those skills, and my parents always raised me to talk to people and give everyone the time of the day. Whether it's the janitor, the teacher, or it's the your friend or your family, to give everyone the time of the day and talk to them. And so that's how I've always been that way. And that's really like what networking is. You don't know who you're standing next to. You don't know what someone is doing, right? So it's always good to just network and treat everybody the same. And that's one of my favorite things about networking. And at DVC, they had a lot of good classes. I mean, one of my favorite classes was like the career path. I forget the specific name, but it's basically about like building a career and like, like just a business plan and what you want to do with your life. And then also public speaking is one of my favorite classes as well. That was a really fun one. And then I did some really good music ones as well, because like I said, I'm big into entertainment, so I did like music history and all this. So yeah, like I said, but it's a great spot because I had a lot of friends also from different high schools in the area that were there. So we were able to be there and present with each other and use each other's different networks to, help each other out.
Yeah, and actually, you touched on a couple things, but I'm like, see, this is the way this is going to go. I'm going to go down these rabbit holes, and all of a sudden, I find interesting. So you used to play in bands. So talk about that, because I mean, I played bands a little bit when I was a kid, but I think I was 20 when I stopped playing. I think I got married or something like that, and that was the end of that. But obviously, you've turned that into a whole thing. But so you're in high school, you're playing bands, you're traveling around. Expand on that.
Yeah, so I was in a band with my brother, and well, not I was in jazz band at school. I was in marching band, and then I was also in like my own band outside of school with my brother. And we played like San Francisco. We went to Sacramento, Santa Cruz, LA, Northern California as well. And we just played at different spots. And we did it because we love music with a lot of the smaller bands in the area. Not necessarily a lot of money at all. Most times we didn't make money. We were just investing into it to do it because we loved it. And so that's kind of where the band is. Like I said, I did jazz band up until from 7th grade up until 12th grade. Marching band I did for a couple of years. So music's always been a huge part of my life. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, so you got kind of some of those stories, and I imagine it's you were doing it for the love of the music and stuff, because it is fun. I know I remember those days when getting up and playing in front of people, and even if it's 12 people, it's still fun, you
Oh, yeah.
know? So cool. So you went to DVC, and talk about how you ended up because you bounced off. So what happened after that? Because you ended up in LA sometime.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so I did the 2 years at DVC, and my goal was always to go to LA, so I just had to save up my means, get everything figured out. So I went to LA, moved there to start, like, my management company, managing, like, a couple models and artists where I could while still working just regular jobs, and then I ended up going to a music school called Icon. Really great school, like a kind of more of a private music school. I did just a 1 year program there. So it wasn't like a master's degree or anything, but a certificate. But it was like 2 years of school in like one, right? So it was all
ouch.
matched up. Really great school though. And I took the music business cohort there.
Okay, cool. So what was it like being learning the kind of learning the real nuts and bolts of the business in LA? I mean, talk about that. I mean, some of the stories that went along with that, because that had to have been, your fresh faced, fresh off the boat type of thing. And then now you're taking 2 years worth of school in 1 year, which that's gotta be brutal. And then on top of that, you're basically learning the ins and outs of the business. So what was that like?
Nonstop work. Really like I'd wake up at like 6 a.m., go work for my job from like 6 to 3, go home, eat, and then drive to school, be at school from 6 to 11 p.m., for three nights a week, sometimes four. And then work my job 5 days a week on my extra time. I'm just basically trying to do studios. I'm in the studio with artists. I'm going to events. I'm just linking up with other people, with other creatives. I'm trying to create. So it's really just like using all your time wisely, right? And still enjoying your time to relax and just have a day off. But you gotta have that drive for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in the studios. I've been in all the big studios at Republic, Columbia, Warner Bros, and we did a lot from not only just music. Then I started getting into like a lot of production, TV and short films, stuff like this. So
Oh, wow.
that's why I love networking those because like you just go if you go and meet one person, you're really meeting like 20 people in one because now those 20 people, from this guy or this girl right now. So now it's like it's big groups. When you meet one person, you're never meeting one. You're meeting really like, at least a couple handful, right? No one is really ever by himself, especially in this industry specifically. It's a very small industry.
Well, and I think to your point, meeting one person is never you don't meet that person. You meet them and everybody they know, and that's where it's like it's well, you talked about it earlier, where well, for one thing, I believe you should be nice to the janitor because if you lock your stuff in the room, he's the guy that's gonna he or she is gonna be the person that gets you back in the room, but when everybody else is left for the day. So, I mean, and that's the least that they're gonna be able to do for you. And at DVC, we have a lot of the maintenance folks that we've gotten to be really good friends with because, I mean, they love to help people that are nice to them. Everybody does, and so um, but um, but so what is it like to work production? I mean, talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of that. So you talked about you were working production with talent. So you're in the studio and you're doing something. Are you participating in the creative process, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely case by case. There's sometimes where I'm helping write the music, and there's other times where I'm just doing stuff on my computer, just managing, make sure everything's getting done. And a lot of times I'd be doing like, brand deals and partnerships and stuff like that as well. A lot of the business side of stuff.
Cool. Right. So really when you're managing, you're taking care of everything from you can be taking care of everything from brand development to kind of even the sound to some degree.
It's like A to Z. It's really like a lot of babysitting, and that's kind of why I stopped the management company and now I have the marketing company. Um, I love music and that's why I did the management company. But like I said, it's just a lot of it. There's a lot of like babysitting 24/7 that limits your capacity to do anything else. And so ultimately, you got to have good business acumen and make that strategic decision and whether it's worth it to you or not. To me, it wasn't. So that's kind of why I stepped away from that.
So, yeah, and I mean, I imagine that at some point it's like at first it's kind of an ego drive, and then after a while it's just kind of like, this isn't fun anymore. So, um, so at one point you went from LA to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, it looks like. How did you make that transition? What was that like? And how is the talent different of LA to? the Florida area. What's that look like?
Yeah, so I was living in LA for a while, for about 3 to 4 years, and then I had a client, and he had some good success, and I had some other clients in Miami, so I was like, I'm just gonna move to Miami, and he was in Miami, so I came out here, and I've been here now for a little over 2 years. Been out here in Miami, I love it. I mean, it's just a lot more. It's a new city, right? LA is like a very classic city, right? So of course it has its roots and has all its production. There's always a lot of stars gonna be there, but Miami's a new city, a lot of new tech, new money. It's way a lot very multicultural. You get people from all over the world here, really all over the world. So that's one of the things I like about it. It's a lot of tourism. So it's always people that, have money, that want to spend money, that are doing things that are generating lots of revenue. They are coming to Miami to celebrate or, explore new partnerships. So it's just a good hub to be like, you really are who you surround yourself by, whether that's in your inner circle or even like the environment you live in. If you live
Yeah.
in a small town in a country, it's going to be harder to expand your network and meet more people and get more opportunities than you will be in Miami. So it's just, that's how it works.
Yeah. So the music scene there versus LA. Talk about that because I was reflecting on that. I mean, for one thing, I know the food scene is very, very different, in a lot of ways. It's fantastic, as is the LA food scene, but again, it's different. But yeah, talk about like the music and the talent scene. What's like some of the biggest differences you see? And maybe you got a story or two to share.
The town is definitely more like fashion based. A lot more fashion and models, as well as a lot more electronic music. I would say a lot of electronic. Um, Sports. Obviously, a lot of just like public figures as well. Like all the biggest streamers from Kai Cenat to Astro Speed, Aiden Ross. They all live out here. All the big artists, music artists. A lot of them have houses here. All the athletes and the Aussies, and they all come here. Has the best weather. It's always sunny for the most part, good energy, good vibes. And like I said, the creative juices are always flowing in Miami. So that's why a lot of people come out here, to be honest.
Well, and you don't get necessarily kind of the, old school issues that go with being in LA, 'cause there's, it's like any older community, they come with kind of old issues. Um, so, yeah, I can see where that would be attractive. So
Yeah.
so,
And I don't do the music stuff too much for that here. Like since I've been in Miami, it's been a lot more of the market side of things. Like, for instance, I just like about 2 weeks ago, maybe I had Mario, the R&B singer. I booked him at a club out here, so we went and did that. So I do it on the side stuff, just like I said, because my connections and I know these people, but it's not like my main thing. If you know what I mean?
yeah. So what was your transition from the music industry? You seemed I mean, I mean, I get your point about, okay, now all of a sudden you got people you're babysitting 24/7, and that can be exhausting, you got no bandwidth for that after a while, but what was that process look like when you moved from being the music industry guy and then just kind of getting to a point where you decided you wanted to do the marketing thing and do kind of music as a side gig?
Yeah, I mean, my ultimate passion really is like still playing the drums. I love playing the drums. I love to do that full time, but it's hard to make a living out playing the drums, right? But I also do love business, so that's why I kind of went to the entertainment scene and did the management stuff. And then, like I said, eventually it was just like I was getting tired and burnt out, and like just wasn't enjoying it as much, honestly. And when you're not enjoying it as much, that's when it's like the quality of work is going to be poor. You're not going to be as motivated, right? So I just had to kind of take a step back, and at the same time, I was getting a lot of inquiries about marketing just for companies and stuff. And hey, run my social media, or I need creatives, I need help with this. And like I said, my network, I know a lot of people. I might not be doing all the work myself, but as the agency model is like, hey, we getting all the leads. People are coming to us for help, and we give them the right partners to get it done. Of course, we have a lot of in-house work we do ourselves too, but that was kind of like the breaking point. Was like I said, I wasn't enjoying it as much, and I was getting a lot of just inquiries. And I like I said at that time, if I stayed there doing the management, I wouldn't have been able to take on these other people.
Well, and it's almost like it was like the perfect storm, where you're getting tired of one thing and the other thing just started taking off, and so it's kinda like, "Okay, well, I don't like this anymore." And, and here's this other thing that looks like it's gonna be a lot more fun, and I'm certainly well, and also I like the agency model, and I think that speaks good of, like, any company is where it's just like, yeah, you hire a company and then they break up the project so they're not it's not you're not hiring basically when they hire you, they're not hiring a one-man show, and so you've got the opportunity to tap into all that different creative that you know from all these people. So as you've moved forward, have you always I mean, it sounds like you've always been a networking kinda guy, I wanna be very careful about this because I believe networking is absolutely critical, but not in the, "Hey, how you doing?" Where you wanna go wash your hands after shaking hands with that guy. What's your net I mean, when you network, what does that look like as far as are you just like you'll go talk to anybody in a coffee shop or what's your kind of like has always been kinda your gig as far as networking goes?
Yeah, I mean, really, like, I just talk to people, like I just talk to everyone, like I said, when you go to the store, a lot of people like to go to the store and they don't talk to none of the workers. They don't even make conversation with the cash register. All this like simple stuff. It starts there, right? That's the foundation. Getting comfortable talking to people, and then you can take that to a whole nother level. Yeah, when I'm going to these events, and I'm going to talk to millionaires and billionaires and these big founders of these companies, these celebrities. Where like I'm in a personal space, it's like you got to have the foundation of knowing how to talk to the regular person at the corner. Then you do a celebrity. It's the same idea. So I was always, really like stood strong on that. And I think, like I said, meeting people is like you can learn something from everyone. I always think that, like, even just because, let's say, someone's less than you or above you, it doesn't matter. Same level, like everyone's gonna have different perspective. Perspective is my favorite word. I think if you understand perspective, then half the battle is already done.
Okay. Well, and so we're gonna dig into something here. It's like you talked about something because most people, they get kinda comfortable with networking,
Yeah.
and, well, in like a DVC, it's like I've started teaching a class every semester. It's like I come into some of the business classes, and I teach them kind of basic, this is how you go to a networking event, and it's about part of it is basically giving them enough stuff to be comfortable with walking into a room of a bunch of people that they may or may not know. But the other part of it is just getting the repetition down. But something you talked about, which I think would terrify most people, especially, you're a community college student and you're going in to go talk to somebody who's a billionaire about whatever product or whatever project they want you to build yourself up to that. Or was that like something always that you were able to kind of wrap your arms around?
Yeah, I think I've always been, like I said, this being raised, like I said, my parents always pushed me to talk to everyone and stuff, right? And just be social in general. I've always been a social kid. I definitely think it's partly just my natural talent and gift and abilities, of course. But like I said, I also always made that an emphasis. Like always, every time I go to an event, hey, I'm gonna go talk to at least 10 people. I'm not just gonna go to an event and stand in the corner. Like, what's the point of going to the event? You know? And it's also a lot about the follow-up game. Like follow-up is even bigger. You can meet someone, but are you gonna follow up them the next day? Are they gonna remember you? So follow-up's even more important. But like I said, before you get to the follow-up, you still gotta know how to talk to people. But can you can you
Well,
can you repeat the exact question again though? I don't think I
Well, and
answered.
it says, how did you get to a point? Well, no, actually, you touched on a bunch of stuff that I believe in too, but it's like, how did you get to a point where you felt confident enough to go talk to a millionaire or a billionaire?
I mean, sometimes it's like you gotta just give yourself that false confidence, even though you might not know. You have to. You gotta push the boundaries. Honestly, I've been in plenty of situations to where like you just gotta go for it, even if you know that you're not maybe as knowledgeable as what you should be, whatever it is, right? But ultimately, these people are just people at the end of the day. So it doesn't always have to be about it. To go up to them and have a casual conversation, and find something that you guys both like or enjoy, and that's the basis of a relationship. So it's not only that you're not always going with these people to just talk business. There's plenty of times where I'm talking to these people and then about personal stuff. And then later, maybe an hour later in a party, I'll talk to them again and get his contact, and then we'll talk business later on, a month down the line. I mean, I remember when I did the BMW collab, I had met the CMO of BMW USA and out here at Art Basel, like an event, and he gave me his number on WhatsApp, so whatever. I'm following up with him for like 2 months, and then finally 2 months later, he responds like, "Hey, like I got like 5 minutes. I can call you real quick." I call him, give him my pitch, and then connect me to the right people. And then 6 months, finally, we were working out the project, and we got the big brand deal done with Coachella, BMW. So like, it's stuff like that where you just gotta. It's follow up, but it's also just starting and creating a relationship, not talking about business necessarily at first, and then getting to that point.
Wow, that's actually that's one of the best stories I've heard. Because I mean, again, it's like, you talk to somebody and you may not get something out of it for 6 months or a year, but again, you were following up on a regular basis. "Hey, how's it going?" "I'd love to talk to you," and it's just, I think that's the best story I've gotten so far.
Yeah, my people at Nike, the same thing. I met my guy at Nike who does all like a lot of big licensing, for like all the Nike accessories. And I met him like probably a year and a half ago, and then finally we did an event together like just a couple months ago. Now we're gonna start doing more events. So it's like this is one of those things, It's and that's why I always like to say it's like that's why I always say talk to people because you might go to a restaurant and talk to the server now, but in 5 years that server could be the CEO of $1 million company. I don't know.
Mhm.
No one
Yeah.
knows what else is going on in their life. So that's the way I look at it.
Or
Yeah,
they could be undercover boss.
exactly. You never
Yeah.
know. That's what I'm saying. So
Well, and and to your point, that's where you're really making your, is you're building your brand and your business really through, networking and not through putting splashy ads someplace.
You know,
Excuse me.
and ads are great. Don't get me wrong. I love ads. I'm a big advocate for ads, especially if you're selling products, services, and stuff. But at the same time, nothing beats human interaction. And like, if your friend tells you, "Hey, go talk to this guy. I'm gonna refer you," you're probably gonna go listen to him. This is the way it is. People
Yep.
listen to their friends and family.
Well, yeah, and I absolutely agree with that because it's like I'll basically talk to anybody, and I know when I started building this, the alumni association, it was they had tried 6 other times and had gotten nowhere, and in the for the first 8 months, nobody talked to me, probably closer to a year, and that was okay. I was a new kid on the block, but I still wouldn't talk to people. And now it's like I do get those outreaches and stuff like that, and I was actually very excited when you were kind enough to respond to my LinkedIn, request because it's just like I'm going, "Oh, this could be interesting." So what are some so when you were in the music industry, how does networking look different there than it did? Because it sounds like you've got the whole networking thing down for what you're doing now. Was the networking you're doing as a marketing person different than it was in the music industry?
All the same. It's all the same. Like I said, just having regular conversations with regular people and seeing where it goes. Really, it's not any different. It's
So no matter
it's
what you so no matter what you do, including playing in a band, you're gonna be doing networking at every single turn.
Networking is a universal skill. That's the beauty of it. It's not limited to anyone. Anybody can be a master networker, and you don't need to go and pay a pay for someone's course to be a master networker. You just got to go and talk to people, and you'll learn by experience. The best way to learn is by personal experience. Just like you said, we all grew up and we all had our parents say, "Don't do this, don't do that," and we did it, and we learned. We said, "Okay, yeah, I probably should do that." The same idea. You had to learn through experience for yourself.
Yeah. Well, don't touch the hot stove. Okay, well, I won't do that again. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and yeah, I agree, and that's one of the reasons I think it's more important. The most important part about networking is getting out and, like, when you talked about you go to an event and you wanna meet at least 10 people to go talk to 10 people. I at least set it at 3 to have a serious conversation with 3 people only because, that's about the amount of nerve I've got or about the amount of patience, but, I've
Yeah.
also been doing this for about 30 years, and it's like, "All right, that's fine." But again, it's about that have a goal, and then the other part you talked about, which I think is absolutely critical, is the follow-up. It's like, follow up with, "Hey, how's it going? Hope your dog is okay." It's like,
Mhm.
"I'm sorry to hear about your dog. How's it doing?" And people remember stuff like that.
100%. 100% agree. It's the little things.
Mhm. So what does networking events look like in Miami? I mean, are they different than they would be here? I mean, do you go to networking events like chamber events or just everywhere you go, you're shaking hands and talking to people?
It's not like chain events, but yeah, we have like just a lot of like I said, we have fashion weeks, we have music week, we have Art Basel, we got there's just always so much going on in Miami events wise. There's always clubs going on, there's always restaurants, there's always private events, always brands doing activations. Like it's every day of the week you can find something, you know?
Mhm.
So you just gotta pick wise and choose what you want to go to. And there's been plenty of times where I sneak into so many events. I've snuck into so many events. Can't even tell you. Time has some of the biggest connections.
Well, and truth be told, I used to have a boss, a good friend of mine, and I won't drop his name here just but well, I could, Damian Journey, who's now he's getting a lot of recognition and stuff where he's working. He works for oh my gosh, I should know this, but, he's a great guy, and he is the guy that, again, is like you, where he finds a way to get invited to the thing or get in the door on the thing that is very exclusive and nobody's allowed in, and he will send that and he'll get in there and go talk to those people, and I
Mhm.
always think that's an amazing skill to have. Now, when you were in high school and you're doing this, did your friends think you were kinda weird or how did they look at it? Or that's just that was Shane and that's who he was and that's his gig?
I mean, now people thought the band was cool. So I'm sure a lot of people thought it was weird too, but like I've always not, I don't really care, you know? Like, so you're never gonna be able to please everyone. You're always gonna have the haters, you're always gonna have the people that support you. So it's like, I'm sure people have their opinions. But no, I mean, like I said, I was in jazz band, marching band. I had a lot of my friends that actually enjoyed the music too. They always support. So, like I said, I was just that person where I had a lot of different social groups. I had my band friends, I really loved it. And then I had my athlete friends who were like, yeah, it's cool, but they wouldn't necessarily come support. And then there's people that don't, you know? So, yeah, it was definitely, I
And
would say, a mix. Not everyone that felt the same about it.
yeah, so lost track of my question. I had another question for you, but
No
so
worries.
if you were going to give advice to somebody at DVC now, what would be the thing that you would give them as far as because I do like the fact that you didn't know what you were going to do, and so you decided to go to DVC to kind of get your feet under you and figure out kind of a direction to go.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the things that DVC is extremely good at, rather than spending a ton of money learning that you don't want to do X, whatever that is. You don't want to be an engineer or a doctor or something like that. It's like get your basics in, things like that, and then start figuring out what you want to do. So looking back now, what would you tell a DVC student at this point as far as career advice?
I would say just try to figure out what it is you want to do and focus as much of your energy as you can onto that and do whatever it takes. It's not going to be easy, whatever it is, no
Mhm.
matter what career path it is, but just focus on, and lock in on it. And, I love the saying like signal versus noise ratio, right? It's like
Yeah.
that's always a good one. So try
And
to
we'll
get it
we'll talk
all.
about what that is, and we'll let you because I just saw a thing about that. But talk about the signal versus noise.
Yeah, yeah. So like, kind of exactly like that clip. I just seen that too. But it's like Steve Jobs used to practice way back in the day too, right? With Kevin O'Leary. And yeah, the signal versus noise, like there's so much noise out. Like the signal, like pick 3 to 5 tasks every day that you have to get done that you'll get done. And that's the signal that you need to be locked in on. Everything else that is just noise, whether that's, you know, go in and doing another task that needs to be done in business or trying to plan for the future and your vision, like, but just focus on those 3 tasks and block out the noise and you're going to be a lot more productive, right? So definitely those 2 things, and then, but most importantly, networking. Like I said, get out there and meet people, go to events, whether it's in your town or invest in yourself. Travel, I think travel is really good. Go to LA for a weekend and go to an event and just put yourself out there in the world. Like if you want to be you know, eh, oh, especially nowadays in social media, like the more you do these types of things, it's only going to be better for your brand as well. And I'm on social media because I have to really, but I'm not a big social media guy. Like, I don't post every day. I really don't post that much at all. So, but you need to because it's just the day and age we live in, you know? Right. So, but to sum it up, I would say networking 100%, networking and understanding perspective is my number one thing. Secondly, like I said, just finding really what you want to do. And like I said, it may change. When I first started, I wanted to do the music and the music management, and then it changed to creative marketing, right? So a little different, but still the same idea. And you worry about that when you get there. It's not nothing to worry about now. For now, figure out what you want to do, lock in on it, and dedicate as much time as you can to it. And lastly, just be a good person, and good things will come your way.
Yeah. Well, cool. I mean, is there anything else you wanna share with this? Because I mean, I'm always amazed at, I'm probably twice to 3 times older than you at this point, and I'm always amazed when folks that are that much younger than me, it's like have wisdom that it took me decades to find, I wanted to ask you, so
Well,
do you have,
touching
like
that though, but that's because, like I said, we got lucky with the technology. Like I said, it's like
Yes.
you can't
Yes.
compare. You can't compare it.
No,
So
I know, but I can still get to feel old about it. Um, but do you have like a favorite? Do you have like like a couple of favorite books that you've read that you're like, oh my gosh, you should read this.
hmm. Yeah, I mean, The Power of One for sure. Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell. Um, Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell is a really good one. What's the one about? There's one where they do a study on like a bunch of the CEOs from biggest companies. Oh, From Good to Great. It's called From Good to Great. Really, really
Yep.
good book. It's about being a leader in CEOship. And then, um, what's it? I was just reading. The Earl Nightingale book, Think and Grow Rich. Classic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Think and Grow Rich. The basics. It's all the basics, you know? Gotta
Yeah.
get the fundamentals down.
Yeah, one
And
of my
my favorite podcast that I recommend everyone watch is Diary of a CEO. I watch every episode.
yes.
It's the best
I love that
podcast.
one. I love that. That's a great one. One of my favorite books is Atomic Habits.
Oh my god, it's yeah.
Love that book. Love it. And there was another one that recently I haven't gotten into yet, but I just got it. Which is the was it the your next five things, I think is what it is. And it's basically it's about, picking five things that every that's the thing that you and it's kind of like a version of signal to noise, you
Mhm.
know. Um and that's another one that's good. But yeah, I do like that. So
Yeah.
what
And most part I say if you guys want to watch TV and stuff, try to watch like documentaries, something you can learn something from. I love watching documentaries and history stuff.
what's your favorite documentaries right now?
The hard one. That's a hard one. I mean, right this second I'm not watching one, but let's see what I just recently watched. I love the Napoleon documentary, or the Napoleon one's really good. I know it's a little bit like more on the movie side, but it's still really good. There's a lot of really good series on Netflix, and also HBO Max has really good documentaries.
Yeah.
So they have, I mean, what they have everything from war documentaries to to finance documentaries to like I said biographies about people. I mean, it's just better real life stuff. You can always learn.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree. It's like once in a while, it's good to do other things. I like watching on the Space and Beyond channel on Fire on Amazon. They have how the universe is, basically how the universe is made or something like that. And it gets you up to date on the latest things on what they're discovering out there in the universe. And then I think the last movie I watched where I was like really engaged was Short Sale. And it was a really good one. And it's based on the actual what happened in the downfall. And it was just interesting to watch how really, really bad the financial crisis, how bad it was, what caused it, and how much worse it could have been. So it was interesting. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, but that type of stuff is always good because at least now it helps you plan a little bit ahead too. Because it'll happen again probably.
oh yeah, yeah. There's I've seen enough interviews, and this goes back to the '70s or the '80s. I remember reading this article, as a young man, and there was this article where this guy said, talked about, they were asking him about the cycle, like when do you think the next, big financial crisis is going to be? And he says, oh, about 10 to 12 years. And they looked at, and apparently they were quite surprised. And they says, why? He says, well, that's how long our memory is. And I think Warren Buffett has even said something like this: as we get far enough away from the last crash and we start getting bolder and bolder, and so we forget how painful it was. And so we start, as a species, it's like, unless we got burned recently, we forget how hot the stove is. So, you know, yeah, we got something coming, I'm sure. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So,
Crypto time.
so anything else you wanna share with us? What's your next big adventure?
Next big adventure is I'm part equity owner in this company. We own the IP to the word weed and smoke. So we just launched a big partnership with Wiz Khalifa and Khalifa Kush. We got that coming up, and that's probably the main one I'd say.
Man, okay. And so you own the intellectual property, and now you'll be developing that as a brand and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we have like three. We have like the AI chatbot. We had chatbot. It's all about wellness and well being, and we personalize to you. Then we're gonna have the crypto coin that we're doing as well. It'll be on Binance and Coinbase, all the big platforms. And then the licensing side, we'll be doing like a lot of products and stuff like with Cleveland Kush and other licensing partners.
Man, you got your irons in all the fires, don't you?
I got to. They always say don't spread yourself too thin, but you know, if you got enough liquid, then you can spread yourself as much as you need. I
Yeah,
like
I
to
I
think of my
actually
body
think
as a glass of water. So every time I do, probably I dump some out, but you can,
well, as long as
as
you
long as you can manage.
yeah, well, and the thing is you're probably like me, you see like, "Oh, that looks interesting." It's like, "I gotta go do that." And I have a feeling that you're off there doing things that are fun, or at least you find them fun.
Yeah,
So,
of course, of
and
course.
that matters a lot. Well, cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I will get this all put together and I'll send you over a premiere copy. So let's sign off now. Thank you for being here. Hang on after we sign off. So, and we'll end it there.
Thank you for tuning in to DVC Alumni, where every story inspires the next, the podcast for the DVC Alumni Association. You can contact us at alumni@dvc.edu with any comments, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our podcast.